7 years ago, Rob Spanton and I had an idea that perhaps it would be good fun to get a load of school groups to build robots and then have a great big competition. We spent the next 18 months planning, organising, raising money, talking to people, trying to get stuff done. And in April 2008, we had the first student robotics competition. It was a tremendous day for all involved. Not all of the robots were quite as spectacular as perhaps we would have dreamed, but they all got there, they all got going, and they had a really fantastic day. That was my first year of student robotics, and I've been involved ever since.
Student robotics has grown in many ways over the last few years. We've got more competitors involved now, more uni students involved now. We're more geographically spread. We've got teams from France and Germany and the north of England. It's pretty awesome.
The spirit of all the competitors has been brilliant. I mean, having sort of almost 200 people cheering on everyone else and helping everyone out, and I mean, no one seems to mind whether they win or lose. It's all a bit of fun, really, which I think is the correct attitude to have.
I got involved when we were approached about 6 or 7 years ago by a number of students from Southampton University who'd been at a robotics competition, a bigger one out in America called First Robotics, and they organised us to actually go out and join the first robotics competition. And then following that, about 2 years later, those same students organised this competition here. So we've been involved from the very beginning.
The competitors are asked to do a 6-month project in a team on something bigger than they could possibly achieve themselves. And this never happens in the school environment. Every coursework, every bit of assignment in school is a 2-week, a 3-week, maybe a group project might be a month, and that's nothing like industry. What we've seen from teams that we've had coming to student robotics for the past 5 competitions, we've seen teams that pull together and generate some fantastic technology, and it's a real credit to them and to the competition itself.
The skills that I see here are very much those that we require, look for in applicants to study electronics and computer science at the University of Southampton. You can approach this in many different ways. I mean, the first one is technical, and the technical skills being shown here are very impressive indeed, and we like that. And the other end of the scale is the cooperation that I see these visitors and actually our own student robotics team showing are exactly what we want. It's where real achievement comes from in engineering, when you get people cooperating in a very creative, constructive way.
At Hills Road, the students are doing a full A-level package, so that's about 4 A-levels each. They get a tutorial support lesson, and each week they are allowed to do one activity. It's called enrichment, and they do an enrichment activity a week, and so some do drama, some do music, some do art, and some do robotics.
Student robotics fits into the school year quite nicely. The people running student robotics have been quite keen to make sure it does do so, and have asked our opinions over the years. So the fact that it runs over the autumn term and then into the spring term, it doesn't clash too much with revision and exams and so forth. So the fact that it takes place in the Easter holiday, the finals, is sufficiently far away from any exams. We have a couple of hours a week to actually sort of build the robot, design the robot, meet as a team. Towards the competition day, we tend to have days in college, whole days in college, 2 or 3 days. And then of course there are the tech days that the student robotics people run down at Southampton University.
Clifton High School, which is the school that we come from, it has historically been mostly girls, and for the last 3 years we've taken boys, and so we have, overwhelmingly more girls than boys in the year groups. It has to be said that the previous year's success has definitely helped with me recruiting people to this year. We seem to have a really strong cohort in our current year 11 that really wanted to do it, which is why I let them do it, despite the fact they're not sixth formers.
Most of the students that get involved in our project have never written any software before or done any electronics. And so this whole project is quite daunting to them because the robot is a fusion of electronics and software. And so we provide them with support throughout the year. We help them firstly through online, and secondly, with many of our schools, we send a university student mentor out to them to guide them through building their robots. Many of them also have teachers at schools as well that help out too.
I think that there's two major benefits, I would say. One, it is very enjoyable. The students do get a lot of fun from it, particularly the competition days. The two competition days, you can really see them getting very excited. You can hear some of the cheering going on sometimes with the rounds and so forth, particularly towards the end of it. But I think the other major benefit is this competition is so much more like a proper engineering challenge, in that the students have been given a challenge that they've got to think themselves through from beginning to end. They've got to design the robot, build the robot, program the robot. Sometimes they've even got to work out finances for the robot. So it's a much more complete project than anything I think students of this age would ever have done before.
We've been entered for this competition for 3 years, but this is the first time we've actually managed to get here and do it. So we're really thrilled to be here. It's a lovely competition. It's autonomous. The robots are a nice size. You can build them with simple tools. The coding is important, and so I've been able to involve a lot of different students in it all round. It's cheap. We've had to come down and stay overnight here, but you know, that's not a problem for us.
We came back to Southampton for the kickstart, and we've also come actually for the competition, and we stayed overnight last night, which actually is good fun. You know, it means that you sort of make a weekend of it, and that everybody's on board. You know, that's really good.
We give a kit to the schools at the beginning of the academic year, and that has various pieces of useful electronics that they would need to build a robot with. One part is a little Linux computer, which is the brain of the robot, and we also give them various motor controllers so that the robots can move, and some other parts so they can interact with the world around them. Alongside that kit, we give them a software kit, which they use to actually make their robots do interesting things, and that's probably the main part of the robots that we see today.
One thing which often comes up with teams is that they sort of take their time to get started. Teams often do a lot of discussion during the first couple of months, come up with a lot of ideas, sort of play with it a bit, get sidetracked by exams, and then suddenly it's 2 weeks away from the competition. If you want to succeed in this competition, you really got to pace yourself. The teams that have prototyped robots early are the teams that are doing well.
1 hour a week for 2 terms is not enough to turn out a decent robot. And so students have to put in a lot of time on their own. The more time they can put in, the more robot we can do. We do prototyping in the first term. We do building in the second term.
This year, we invited the students to build some fantastic creatures that would roam around a large open space with 3 other robots and try and collect special prize tokens, special things that we said were worth points. These ended up being cardboard boxes about 4-inch cubed, on each face of which was a special marker that the robots could see, identify and hunt down. Once they collected these markers, these tokens, they were encouraged to take the tokens back, first of all, to their side of the arena, the side where they'd started, but if they were feeling really clever, to try and get those tokens into special buckets that were dotted around. And if they managed to do that, then they got lots of points. The university students who support student robotics, who make student robotics happen, who go into schools, who get our funding, who advertise, who arrange the big competitions, who build the software, who build the hardware, who sweat through the night to make this happen. We call them blue shirts because we all wear blue shirts. I, as a blue shirt over the past 7 years, have had an amazing time. It's been a fantastic experience.
My housemates went to a volunteering fair, came back with a leaflet that said robots, and I said, yay! And I went to a talk that Sam Pippin organised, and he just said basically what happens, how things... Basically, he could have said anything, and I still would have wanted to come, because I thought it sounded like a genius idea to get kids involved in robotics and electronics, because I always fear that not enough kids are involved in coding, electronics, engineering of all types, really. There's really not enough people involved, which is why we sort of get classed as geeks, because we're the minority.
It's my job to run Kickstart, which is our beginning of year introductory session for our competitors. The various tech days through the year where we bring all the competitors to the various universities that are involved, where they get a chance to work on their robots under blue shirt supervision. And then the competition itself, which is the big event that happens around April every year, over 3 days. One of the things which we've really been doing well recently is expanding into other areas. We've got our branch at Bristol now, which is going very well. It would be great to expand to the rest of the UK and put our tendrils out in Europe. We've got branches in Grenoble in France and one in Munich in Germany this year.
I met some of the people who organized it here at the C conference in Berlin 3 years ago now, and they told me about this competition, and I'm doing other stuff with them too. So I came here last year to visit the competition, just have a look. And at the end of the competition I was saying, yes, I have to bring a team from Germany next year because it's so awesome. And it's just what I would have loved to do as a kid.
We might have to start doing regional competitions and then one large competition for the top teams from each of the regions. I think that would be fantastic too.
I think every blue shirt I've known has had a tremendous day. We all love the competition. The excitement is there for us 10 times as much as it is for the competitors. And it is a huge benefit to everyone who has become involved in the blue shirt, getting involved with planning, with budgets, with making hardware that has to work, not just for some university mark that frankly doesn't mean much at the end of the day, but because people depend on you. Getting involved in engineering on that level is a huge opportunity for everyone who steps up for student robotics.
I turned up to the competition in 2010 in a fedora and got a few strange looks. 2 years down the line, we are in a room full of pirate hats. Correlation is not causation, as any statistician will tell you. However, I've always thought that correlation certainly does waggle its eyebrows furtively and go, look over there. So, you know, I may well be guilty for the hat spate.
What I'm seeing of this competition here, I'm really liking, and we're definitely going to be keeping on doing this. This to me is probably going to become the main focus of my robotics activity now, because it's more involving for the students, and the competition itself is developing better skills than the first does. We've got coding students who are getting a lot out of this, whereas they don't get it out of first because there's not much in the code. We've got some students who are learning mechanical skills that they've never done before. Hills Road is an academic A-level institution, so most of my students don't know one end of a file from another, so it's very interesting for them to pick up some of these engineering techniques.
Hectic, hard work. They've learned so much, and our mentors have been brilliant. They've been with us almost every week, and we've had some technical days and great fun. There's so much learning's gone on. You know, project management. They've been trying to get sponsorship. They've done building and programming, and it's brilliant. Absolutely great.
We've been quite lucky, I think, in that we've actually managed to win on 3 occasions. The early years, I think we didn't know exactly what we were doing, so that's why I say we're a bit lucky. So things worked out quite well. We've had great success, and it's been very encouraging, so that's obviously encouraged more students to join the team.
It's extremely impressive. I've seen these competitions before, and they seem to get more and more complicated, and the visitors seem to enjoy them more and more, which I'm really enjoying myself.
And there we go, that's it, student robotics. It's fantastic.